Everyone's buying gold like it's the one thing that guarantees safety. But when a real disruption hits, power out, stores empty, deliveries delayed, gold doesn't help you solve today's problems. Practical stuff does. In this video, we're going through 10 cheap items you can grab right now, usually for just a few bucks, that can become more valuable than gold because they help people eat, stay clean, stay warm, and avoid getting sick. No fancy gear, no complicated setups, just simple basics that store well and make sense for beginners. Let's start with number 1. Number 1, water purification tablets. When normal water treatment is running, you almost never think about it. You turn a tap, you fill a bottle, and you move on. In a long outage or a real supply disruption, that changes fast. The first big lesson in preparedness is simple. People can handle being hungry longer than they can handle unsafe water. Dirty water doesn't just taste bad. It can take you out of action with stomach illness, dehydration, and fever, and those problems spread through families quickly. That's why small, sealed water purification tablets end up functioning like microcurrency. They're cheap, they're lightweight, they're easy to count, and they solve a problem everyone understands. For barter, tablets are also trust-friendly. If they're still in the original packaging with clear instructions, people feel safer trading for them than for something homemade. Different products treat different amounts of water and may require a wait time, so the label is part of the value. The beginner move is to store them cool and dry and rotate them before the printed date. The smart move is to keep your emergency supply separate from any extras you might use to help others, because what you give away and what you rely on should not be the same pile. Tablets don't replace every water method, but they buy time, and time is what people pay for when everything feels uncertain.
Once water becomes a daily question, the next question is light and power, because most people forget how hard it is to function when the sun goes down. Number 2, AA or AAA batteries. People talk about food and water first, and that's right, but the quiet reality is that life gets complicated the moment you lose light. Flashlights, headlamps, radios, small thermometers, even some basic medical devices all run on the same few battery sizes. In a disruption, stores get cleared out in hours, and then the only batteries left are the random half-dead ones in the back of drawers. That's why fresh, name-brand batteries become a clean trade item. They're sealed, they're predictable, and you can break them into small units without opening anything. For beginners, the simplest strategy is boring but effective. Pick 1 or 2 common sizes and stick with them, so you're not juggling 5 different formats. Store batteries in a dry place, away from heat, and don't mix old and new in the same device, because that's when people get leaks and ruined gear. If you want an even better long-term approach, add a small set of rechargeable batteries and a basic charger, but keep disposable ones too, because in a barter situation, people usually want something that works immediately with no extra steps. Batteries are also a multiplier. A flashlight without batteries is basically a paperweight, and the same goes for a radio. So you're not just trading power, you're trading the ability to use other tools people already own. Once you can see and communicate, the next bottleneck is heat and cooking, and that's where the simplest fire-starting tools suddenly become serious value. Number 3, lighters and waterproof matches. A lot of collapse talk gets dramatic, but the practical point is simple. Fire solves multiple problems at once. You can cook food you can't safely eat raw. You can boil water when you don't trust the source. You can stay warm when the power is out. You can light a candle or a small stove without burning through your last battery. That makes reliable ignition tools incredibly valuable, especially because they're cheap, small,
and easy to trade in single pieces. The key word is reliable. A bargain lighter that fails after a week doesn't help anyone. Disposable lighters from a known brand and sealed waterproof matches are both easy to store and easy to count. For preparedness, it helps to think in layers. One lighter for everyday use, one for your emergency kit, and a few extras that stay untouched. If you're keeping these in a home with kids or pets, storage matters even more, because fire-starting tools are useful but not toys. For barter, unopened packs tend to hold value better than loose items because people trust what they can verify. Also, lighters and matches are enablers. Someone might already have a stove, a grill, or a fireplace, but without a way to spark it, it's dead weight. When systems break down, enablers often trade higher than the tool itself. Once heat and cooking are covered, the next thing people notice is how quickly small injuries turn into big problems when clinics, pharmacies, and clean supplies are harder to reach. Number 4. Basic first aid supplies. In normal life, a scraped hand is annoying. In a prolonged emergency, that same scrape can keep you from cooking, carrying water, or working, and it can get worse if you can't keep it clean. That's why basic first aid supplies end up trading high. They protect the one resource nobody can replace, your ability to function. You don't need a giant tactical kit to cover most everyday problems.
The high-value basics are simple. Adhesive bandages in multiple sizes, sterile gauze pads, medical tape, a small roll of cohesive wrap, antiseptic wipes, and a few pairs of disposable gloves. Add blister care, because blisters are small, but they can stop you from walking. A few blister pads or moleskin strips are surprisingly useful. A small tube of antibiotic ointment is another simple add-on because it helps keep minor cuts from turning into bigger problems. Tweezers and small scissors are practical too, but the real trade gold tends to be the sealed consumables, pads, wipes, tape, and bandages. The most barter-friendly items are the ones that are individually wrapped because that packaging signals cleanliness and reduces arguments. For storage, keep first aid dry and away from heat so adhesives don't fail. For use, the rule is common sense: clean, cover, protect, and change dressings when they get dirty. First aid supplies also pair well with the next category because supplies handle the outside of the problem, but medicine is what helps people handle pain, fever, allergies, and stomach issues that can wreck a household's routine fast. Number 5. Over-the-counter medicine. When pharmacies are open, a headache or seasonal allergies are just a quick trip to the store. When shelves are empty or money is tight, the boring medicine becomes one of the first things people look for. Pain and fever reducers, allergy tablets, throat lozenges, anti-diarrhea medicine, and antacids are all in this category because they solve common problems that show up in any stressful situation. Poor sleep, bad water, new foods, dust, smoke, and crowded living conditions. The value is not just comfort. If you can reduce a fever, manage inflammation, or stop a stomach issue, you keep someone from getting weaker, dehydrated, or unable to work. For preparedness, the best approach is simple and safe. Buy normal household amounts, store them as directed, and rotate them by using the oldest first. Keep everything in the original bottle or blister pack with the label intact, because the label is part of the value. In a barter situation, people trust sealed packaging and clear expiration dates far more than loose pills in a bag, and for good reason. Also, medicine is one of those items where more is not always better. Different people have different health conditions, and the right move is always to follow the label and involve a responsible adult or a healthcare professional when you can. That sounds basic, but it's exactly why labeled OTC medicine stays valuable.
It's standardized, predictable, and easy to use correctly. Once health is addressed, the next category is what keeps illness from spreading in the first place: hygiene and cleaning. Number 6. Soap and personal hygiene kits. When you're tired and stressed, hygiene is easy to push aside, and that's exactly when it matters most. In disruptions, the problems that spread fastest are usually the boring ones: stomach bugs, skin irritation, minor infections, and respiratory gunk that moves through a household because everyone is sharing spaces and supplies.
Soap is one of the cheapest items on any preparedness list, and it does real work. Bar soap stores well, doesn't leak, and can cover hands, body, and light laundry. Dish soap helps keep cookware clean, so you're not constantly reintroducing germs into meals. A few packs of wet wipes or a bottle of hand sanitizer can help when water is limited. But soap and water are still the foundation when you have them. This is also where tooth care belongs. Tooth pain doesn't pause for emergencies, and when you can't easily see a dentist, prevention becomes the whole game. Toothbrushes, toothpaste, and floss are compact, long-lasting, and universally useful. For barter or mutual aid, travel-size items are perfect because they're sealed and easy to share without opening your main supply. Store hygiene items sealed, dry, and away from extreme heat so they don't dry out or melt. The point is not being fancy. It's staying healthy enough to keep going and helping the people around you do the same. There's one hygiene category that becomes urgent and high demand in every long disruption, and it's often ignored until it's too late: menstrual supplies. Number 7. Feminine hygiene products. Menstrual supplies aren't a nice-to-have. They're a recurring, practical need, and when they're missing, it affects hygiene, comfort, and the ability to work or travel. Pads, tampons, and liners are also great barter items because they're easy to store. They stay usable for a long time if kept dry, and the packaging makes them easy to trust. If you're building a beginner stockpile, this is one of the simplest categories to add slowly: an extra pack here and there, stored in a clean, dry place. Variety matters because people have different preferences and needs, so having more than one type or size increases usefulness. Smaller packs can actually be better than one giant box because they let you help more than one household without giving away everything at once. If you don't personally need these items, they still matter in a community setting because every neighborhood includes people who do, and supply disruptions hit everyone the same way. Keeping this category covered reduces stress in a household, and lower stress makes every other problem easier to manage. Once basic hygiene is handled, the next big lever is food quality and preservation, because plain calories are one thing, but being able to make simple staples taste normal is what keeps people eating and functioning. Number 8. Salt and shelf-stable seasoning. In a disruption, a lot of meals become repetitive fast. Rice, beans, pasta, oats, whatever is available and affordable. Salt is the simplest upgrade. It supports basic body function, it improves bland food, and it plays a role in preserving certain foods when refrigeration is unreliable. From a preparedness angle, it's also hard to beat because plain salt lasts a very long time if you keep it dry. Seasonings like pepper, garlic powder, chili flakes, and bouillon cubes add a different kind of value. They make simple food easier to eat day after day. That matters because people get appetite fatigue. They stop eating enough, not because food isn't there, but because it's so unappealing they lose motivation. Flavor helps keep meals steady, and steady routines matter more than most people expect. For barter, these items work well because they can be divided into small, fair amounts. A small bag of salt or a few bouillon cubes is a useful trade unit without being risky. Sugar also fits here for the same reasons: cheap, stable when dry, and useful for both food and comfort. Storage is easy. Airtight containers, no moisture, and keep spices sealed so they don't clump. When people can season and preserve food, the next level is fixing what breaks, because in a shortage, the economy shifts from buy new to keep it working. Number 9. Repair supplies and fasteners. When stores are closed or money doesn't buy much, the world shifts into a repair economy. People stop asking, "What can I replace?" and start asking, "What can I fix?" That's why simple repair items can trade like high-value goods. Duct tape is a classic because it's quick, strong, and works on lots of materials. Zip ties are just as useful because they're clean, light, and easy to use for bundling, hanging, securing, and temporary fixes. Add a small tube of superglue for quick repairs on plastics and small cracks, and you've covered a lot of problems. Then there's the sewing side: needles, thread, and safety pins. Clothing, backpacks, and even basic bedding wear out faster when you're using them harder than normal, and being able to repair a strap or close a tear keeps gear usable. For barter, these items work best in small, ready-to-use bundles. A mini sewing kit, a small roll of tape, a handful of zip ties, a couple of glue tubes. People like trades that solve a problem immediately. For storage, keep tape and glue away from heat and keep sewing items dry so they don't rust. Repair supplies don't look exciting on a shelf, but in a disruption, they're the difference between "we're managing" and "everything is falling apart one broken item at a time." Once repair is covered, the last category is slower, but it's the one that turns a short-term stockpile into long-term resilience. Seeds. Number 10. Open pollinated seeds. Seeds are different from everything else on this list because they don't solve tonight's problem. They solve next season's problem. That's exactly why they can become worth more than gold in a longer disruption. When shelves aren't refilling and prices keep rising, people start thinking beyond what's in the pantry. They start asking how to produce food, even in small spaces.
A packet of seeds is lightweight, cheap, and potentially creates more food than its size suggests, but only if it's the right kind of seed. The simple rule is this: open pollinated seeds are the ones you can save and plant again with similar results. Many hybrid seeds will still grow fine, but saving their seeds can give unpredictable results the next year. For preparedness, that's why open pollinated varieties are often preferred. Think practical, not fancy. Greens, beans, peas, squash, tomatoes, and basic herbs. Herbs are underrated because they improve food with very little space. For storage, keep seeds cool, dry, and dark, and label them clearly so you know what they are and how old they are. If you can, store them in an airtight container with a small desiccant pack to keep moisture down. Seeds also gain value over time. Early on, people focus on ready-to-eat supplies. Later, when they realize those supplies run out, the ability to start producing becomes the real advantage. Seeds aren't magic on their own, but paired with simple gardening knowledge, they turn a cheap packet into a long-term resource that keeps paying back.